Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check, mic check. Thank you for the confirmation, Rev. Much appreciated. How you doing today, my friend? Hey, Nani, how you doing, bud? So you can hear me and you can hear the music, correct? Oh no, Rev, you gotta run around and clean. Is that what you're saying? Just kidding. Hey, Dr. Ian Malcolm, welcome back. Now you did that. Look at you prepping ahead. Atlam, how you doing? Okay. Y'all can hear the music and my voice. Uh-oh. I just bumped my monitor, I guess, earlier when I was setting. Fantastic. Glad you can all hear me. Hoping y'all can see me and see this lovely map made by Rev. Lord Rev. Oh, really quick. Make sure that the feed from TikTok and everything is working. We've got Steam and I have got TikTok. We are good to go. Usually those feeds take much longer. Fantastic. Malcolm, don't you usually join us on a different feed? Or is you usually over on YouTube? Or is it TikTok? I can't remember where you join us. Discord? Oh, that's right. You join us on office hours. That's right. Voices in the Dungeon says, loving the additions with multi-level. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. And Alexander says, I noticed that roofs and higher floors don't really change much as far as lighting is concerned. Can you elaborate on that, Alexander? I'd love to chat about that more. Please give me more information so we can discuss it. Usually on Wednesday, that's right, on Discord. I just remember you always watch somewhere else, so, well, welcome to a new feed. Welcome to the Twitch, I guess I should say. By the way, we are live on multiple platforms. We're multi-streaming on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Steam simultaneously. So I'm monitoring all the chat feeds, but it takes me about, 15 to 30 seconds to answer most everyone as I read through and cycle all the chats. So if I don't answer you right away, please be patient with me. I'm doing my best with, reading a bajillion feeds at once. Cool. Really like what you did here, Rev. Yeah, usually when I share a map on the stream or or on the Cartomancer, if I do that, it typically makes the map blow up. Like it does pretty well. Josh, I'm glad to hear it. Glad you're enjoying the new update. Did you share that on the workshop by chance, or? Anani, your map is pretty cool though. Really enjoyed it. Hey Chim, how are you doing today? I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I am a bit sore. I'm kind of beat, and the day is only just getting started here. It's only like noon. I spent the last few days kind of cleaning out my garage and cleaning around. I've had this boat for like 15 years, and it's like a 20-year-old boat when I got it, so it's like 30 years old. Had it a while, and it is, I just don't use it anymore. Kind of lost the passion for boating, and the last time we went out, there was like a big accident that like my wife almost got injured really bad, and my son. So we just stopped going out because it was kind of not that fun anymore to be on the water. Kind of scary for them. So hey, thank you for sharing the live, by the way, and thank you for the follow, our Arcane Black Rose. Appreciate it. And for liking the live. You just went for the trifecta there. Thank you. So I did a lot of work getting ready to get this boat out of my garage. I had a landscaper out like a month ago, and he saw it in the garage. He's like, "Hey, is that your boat?" I was like, "Yeah." We started talking, and he said he'd want to buy it, and so I told him to make an offer, and so yeah. Anyway, I cleaned it all out, gave him a tour, and then he's like, "Yep, I'm gonna buy it." So he came over today, and yeah, we had to get it out of the garage, which I put it in there with a trailer dolly nose first, so we had to rotate it. The trailer dolly was my friend who doesn't live in Vegas anymore, so didn't have access to one easy without buying one, and I didn't want to buy one for this one thing. So I basically, him and his son and I did it. We moved it around, flipped it around, and it took like an hour and a half. Anyway, that was my morning prior to the stream. Love the new update, Brain Bomb. Glad to hear it. Don't really change the lighting within the rooms. Well, Brain Bomb, are you, just to clarify, do you have this setting checked here? Block exterior lighting in rooms? I am no longer captain, but I am still Professor Mac and General Mac and Community Manager Mac. So last stream, I could have married you without your permission, but now I can't. I could have married you to someone else without your permission. But yeah, you need to check this to block exterior lighting. Are you Alexander, by the way, on TikTok? Was that you? Because that same question just got asked over there. My headset wasn't dead this week, Mondu, so I could use it. Oh, no worries. I just wanted to make sure. The question got answered. And your second time asking made it better because I wasn't sure what you said the first time. So let's see here. Random Ladybird says, "Here, taking a break from my DA post office build has truly blossomed in a huge time leech, but it's very cool because of the levels." You know what? I'm hyped to check it out. Like when it's all done. We need a good post office, you know, on the workshop. We need a bunch of them, actually. TikTok was buggy. I'm sorry if it's buggy for you. Honestly, it's been buggy for me the last couple of days. I've been having TikToks, like when I load them, they'll play for like a second and then freeze. Like 5 seconds and freeze. So I apologize if anyone's watching on TikTok having issues. So, how was everyone's week? And how's your weekend going so far? Did you get a chance to do any tabletop gaming recently? Or any session prep? If you did, let's hear about it. Speaking of city streets, today's topic is actually streets and roads. So if you have any questions about streets and roads or how to address them in Dungeon Alchemist, I am going to talk about that a lot today. I picked this map because I love this little entry, like the little roundabout entry path here, which, I mean, obviously could be linked to a road, but this is a great example of how you can use, you know, an exterior space, but still set it as a room. If you look carefully, this actually is a village or a village town square, which is an exterior, you know, biome, but it's just generated without pretty much anything. So it's just the floors and the walls, making it a little bit better for an outdoor like use like this. Hey, Philadelphia, how you doing? Voices in the dungeon. Half my crew is at Gen Con, so no games until they return. I will seek vengeance. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm assuming you're not at Gen Con and they are? Or are you at Gen Con and you're still hanging out with me on the stream? I'm flattered. Let's see here. Hey, Eric, how you doing? I appreciate you. Honestly, Eric, I'm excited. We're getting really close to game day. 8 days out. 8 days. Woo! All right. Let's see here. Miss Terry says, I have a question. Is there a possibility to add a feature to add my own assets for building? There is a feature like that actually already. Glad to hear it, Eric. Enjoy your lurk, my friend. We'll talk later. Hey, TikTok, thank you for the likes. Much appreciated. We're up to almost 250 likes already. Oh, over 250. Never mind. Spoke too soon. Hey, Yuna, how you doing? So if you click right here on the Steam Workshop tab, Miss Terry, right? You can click Open Asset Importer, and that opens the Asset Importer, which is where you import 3D models. As long as they are one of 3 file types, it should be relatively compatible. STL, FBX, or GLTF/GLB files. And then there was just a link dropped right above where you say it is. I oversee this always. Right above, it says DungeonAlchemistFandom.com Wiki Asset Importer. Go to that, open that link in a new tab. That way you can check out our documentation for the asset importer and learn more about it. So you can use this tool. Here, I'll open it really quick so you can see. So Miss Terry, you can import 3D models through here. So like here's one that we shared with the community that is like a plushy version of Hendrik, our kind of mascot. We shared this on the workshop, but I uploaded it. This rooftop here, Mrs. Mac, my wife, she put this together and made this for me for a map I made some time ago that I wanted to have kind of like a neat little custom shingled roof before we offered roofing. And I wanted a hole in it like this for a telescope to stick out for an observatory. Hey, Voices in the Dungeon. Glad to hear you got your priorities straight, honestly. I hope they're staying safe, you know. Gen Con, you know, there's a lot of people there, a lot can happen, and honestly, I mean, COVID is still very real. I hope they're, you know, vaccinated and or masking and taking precautions so they don't get sick and prevent a game for even longer. So if you know Blender, then you'll be at an advantage already. And one of our community members, his name's Danger Weasel, actually made a module for Blender that's like a plugin that actually optimizes assets to orient them for on the right axis, so they're ready to be imported into Dungeon Alchemist. It does a few things to them and optimizes them for it. What is it called? Asmodeus, what is the name of that plugin, bro? Are you here? I know you're lurking. Hopefully you can hear me. Asmodeus, I summon thee! Is it Night Vision that made it? It's not Danger Weasel. That's right. It's Night Vision. My bad. Is it BDA? What does that stand for? I said the wrong name, so my bad. Blender to DA. So look for that module. That should also assist you in moving assets to Dungeon Alchemist if you're using Blender. Miss Terry, also, if you're not already, I recommend hopping in our Discord. Asmodeus, one of our moderators here on the stream, but also in our Discord, is a very prolific, you know, asset artist. And he shares tons of assets on the Steam Workshop, like over 1,000 at least. And he has helped many in our community kind of get their footing when they're learning how to import assets. Battle damage. Yeah, BDA has a lot of different acronym options, right? Animated goatees or goats? Oh, Miss Terry, I'm sorry to hear that, but you know what? Stay strong, and I'm glad that you'll have something to keep you busy. Also, remember, you do have access to a repository of shared assets. There's over 10,000 assets that have been shared by our community, plus the stock assets. So between that and what you upload and create yourself, I mean, honestly, you sky's the limit. What map is this? It's called Adventure Society Hall. I found it on the workshop earlier. It's made by Lord Rev. Hey, Techno Vibes, welcome back. How you doing? So it's called Adventure Society Hall. Let me see if I can get a link for it in chat, shall I? You got to know if I killed anything with that meteor storm. You know what? I've never had the pleasure of using meteor storm. Though I have used some fireballs. Quite a few of those. In fact, my most recent session I got to use too. Well, if you need any assistance in, importing assets, or you run into any, roadblocks, feel free to spin up a support thread in our Discord, Miss Terry, and myself or any of the other asset importer, aficionados will likely jump in and assist you. It's a beautiful build, bro. Sorry, I distracted getting the map. Stand by. Where is it? Oh, there. Okay, got the link. Here y'all. Here you are. Hey, it's the legend. John Doom coming to hang out with John Dam. How you doing, Doom? What you up to, buddy? Asmodeus, can you send me that link in DM, and then I'll put it as a command on the stream for future reference? That way, when it's a command, it's just a simple code we type or a word, and then pops up all that info. I love the little fighting pits back here, brother. These are great. Hey, thank you for that, Asmodeus. Much appreciated. Me personally, I'd make the ground like a dirt or a sand or something. That just seems brutal to fight on, unless it's like a garden. Like this stamped earth. Or some straw. Straw fighting on would be a pain. Oh, I made a mistake. I accidentally dragged over there. I've noticed that the first floor tool is a little buggy right now, and so I recommend avoiding it if you can. I'm going to bring it up with the devs when they get back from their vacation, but essentially you can quickly paint over it instead of just doing the whole area, and then it doesn't blow up your computer in the process. Whoop. Maybe, you can fight the weeds and each other. So if you're noticing this change all tiled tool is giving you guff, when you open the floor tool, just open the second tile tool and then put them in manually. I think it's trying to just, because a lot of people are now starting to make their entire maps rooms, so you can put stairs anywhere. Whereas before it used to be like a room was a room, and then you would put stairs only where you wanted, right? Because they were objects. But now the stairs are kind of dependent on a room floor to be placed somewhere. So this makes sense. The whole exterior of this place, the whole outside yard is technically a room. That's how this fence is here. You know, that's anyway. Hey, Rev, by the way, this is just personal preference. You don't take this personal or anything. I just like, this is what I would do for a fighting pit is all. I like, though, the space that you've set up, and it's a good use of this extra space. Yeah, that sounds like something from, like, Inception, right, Rev? The room was a room, but now the outside is a room. Miss Terry, I can't wait to see it. When you do it, can you share it on the Steam Workshop and maybe share it with me on Discord or in our Community Creations channel so we can take a look? Okay, let's look up some maps with some roads. Because where we're going, we need roads. I think I was subscribed to one that had some neat roads. Oh, you know what? I remember. I'm going to find it. Succumber. Was it this one? Can't remember if that one might have had it. Yeah, I think it did. Dun 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 dun. Oh my gosh, so my next session with the group is on the 10th, right? So we have our normal scheduled monthly session that day, which we only normal, like I said, one a month. And then we have, actually, because it was my son and I's birthday in July, we kind of share the same month for our birthdays, about a week apart. And we asked the group if they'd be interested in an extra session of D&D on us, kind of just a gift from us to them, so we could have an, because that's what we really wanted was extra D&D, more D&D. So if we offered to kind of set up an extra day and pay for it, so it was easier for everyone else to attend. And anyway, Law of the Jungle, the floor count is really just limited by your computer specs. The more powerful of a computer you have, the more rooms and objects you can support reasonably. You know, so if you're kind of just gauge it on the machine you're running it with. If you have a machine that's like, you know, a Chromebook or, you know, just like a basic laptop, probably not a good idea to make 50 floor towers. But if you have a really reasonable gaming computer or, you know, something, a streaming machine, probably could do a whole city with multiple floor buildings all throughout it. Hey, see you later, Miss Terry. Good luck. Made a 10-story abandoned watchtower for my D&D players to find and eventually possibly use as a bathroom. I placed a spare staircase in the center, made a separate room with a circular wall. But half the time when I reload the map, the tiny corners are cut. So the stairs right now will all cut square holes. If you try to override it and make it circular, it'll override it on its own because that's the way it's intended to cut through. Think of the ends of stairs like doors now. They cut a hole in the floor above them, you know, and meet on the ground below. So they act like a doorway to the floor above them. And they have to cut a certain amount of holes. I do think the shaping will get better with time. I'm hoping they can, you know, make the round spirals just go up the center and then just meet at one, like at the very top point where it's like, you know, it'll have like one corner go in where it meets that top stair, right? For now, though, it is a little wonky. I agree, and I feel you there. I've dealt with it personally, but what I do is I just put banisters around the square area because you have either freestanding walls under structural, and then if you go to where? Oh, freestanding walls. I passed them. You have like these kind of banisters here. You can put them out one at a time manually, and they'll snap onto those places really good. If you hold control, if you have, you know, they'll snap into place or whatever. Or you could add a wall using the wall tool. Go in here and then just click place new walls or change wall. And then you could find a half wall or a fence that's like a banister. These work great for it. Currently, right now, I mean, you can try and fix it and it may work temporarily, but it'll always argue with you at the end of the day and try and fix itself, or even maybe make your map crash. So for now, it's probably best to just leave it. I know it's annoying. It's a weird quip for sure. So one thing I love about this map is all the roads. And if you look at this, this is actually a room. It's a room without walls. If you click on this, here, let's go to the edit room tool and click on this surface. Village alley. That's actually the room type I recommend for roads, because what is an alley but a road with 3 sides? You know, it's usually got an entrance and there's walls around it where they put in their trash or detritus, you know, at the, you know, between all the businesses. So there's somewhere for the trash people to pick it up, or there's an access in the back for bigger equipment or whatever, employees. Now, an alley, if you disable under AI settings, walls, just have no objects and just do the floor, you now get a road. You can essentially, here, we're gonna just go to village, select alley, and then draw off of this. Oh, I'm way too high. Go down to the first floor. We'll just do a path kind of going around this. And I'm drawing it from inside of this. Technically, I really wanted to edit this shape, but giving me guff. Oh, there it is. It'll let me edit it now. This will all be matched as a single shape, and it'll use the same road type because I edited the room instead of adding to it. So now it matches that road. Isn't that neat? So with this alley room type, you can regenerate the road or change the floor if you're not like happy with what it currently has. But when you regenerate it, every time the floor switches, it'll more often than not be a floor type that is conducive for roads or paved paths. Pretty cool. Oh, dang, new gaming laptop. So winked out, does that mean it died? Just type Discord, Attic. You don't need the exclamation for our commands here because I wanted them to fluidly pop up like when people are just typing normally. There you go. Sorry for the randomness. Hey, that's cool. Awesome, I'm glad. Wow, Tim Allen joined the stream. More power. I don't think so, Tim. Hey, I'm glad you laughed about it. Honestly, I haven't thought about that show in a good hot minute, but my dad, he was a carpenter, finished carpenter, ran a cabinet shop, and he loved Home Improvement so much. He'd have us record it, make sure we didn't watch anything. The VCR was programmed to record Home Improvement. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And we watched it all the time. My favorite, an artificer with 10 intelligence, right? He like tries so hard to be a tool man, but really he just hurts himself more often than not. And poor Al is just sitting there befuddled like, nope, I'm not gonna get hurt because I know that's gonna hurt someone and it's gonna be you. Man, my dad hasn't done cabinetry for years because he passed away, you know, about 18 years ago. So, like, he had ancient tools at that point that he'd been using for like 20 years. I don't think he had a laser saw or anything like that. But man, he was so impressed when he got a new table saw that was like safe. Like if your finger accidentally touched it, it would shut off immediately, and that was like cutting edge back then. You know, Datanator, honestly, I encourage y'all to, like, it's fun to print them yourself and stuff, but printing them like at a normal print size at a time, never, it's so time consuming, taping them and doing all that stuff. Exactly. But if you take the digital file of your map to, say, a printer in town, have them print it and laminate it, then you got a map that lasts forever. John, how you doing? Oh my goodness, your dad took off his thumb, the end of his thumb with a table saw. See, they're scary business. They are not to be trifled with. I love this map. Great build. Love all these little storage areas, warehouses, and the like. So, by the way, my name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. If you have any questions related to Dungeon Alchemist, feel free to let me know. By the way, what we're looking at is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a map making tool available on Steam. We offer a free demo so you could try before you buy, see if it runs on your computer, and if it's worth your time and investment. Dungeon Alchemist is a one-time fee for a lifetime license. There's no monthly fees or anything like that. And the lifetime license includes updates, quality of life improvements, patches. Its stuff will be continued for pretty much the foreseeable future. And we have 4.5 major updates from our Kickstarter remaining that were labeled as stretch goals. Those are our like major roadmap points. So our most recent update launched less than a month ago, July 10th. Fun with Objects Part 1. Fun with Objects Part 2 should be launching hopefully before year's end. And then beyond that, we have 4 updates remaining that will help us leave early access once we've completed them. In no particular order, you have Tricks and Traps, Water Worlds, High Seas, and Instant Dungeons. So Tricks and Traps, you know, interactivity, tricks, traps, i.e. more traps, more activatable objects and fun things to do in the environment, but also hopefully a way to maybe export those interactions better, like tiles or something like that. Then you have Water Worlds, which will allow you to do water at different levels, i.e. rivers cascading into waterfalls, or you know, having a vast ocean sea. You can do that already, but things like currents and waves likely will be included, more water effects in general. Indiana Jones Boulder, there's actually one in the workshop that works pretty good. But I don't know, that would be a really cool one, huh? As an option. I like these little tracks here. It's like they were on the dirt road with their wagon until they got here. Swinging pendulums. Yet again, the workshop reigns supreme there. There's quite a few traps, and one of them is swinging like half, kind of like pendulum things. Like they're blades, but they're kind of like circular out to a point. But yeah, I think Asmodeus and a few other creators, Sack, have uploaded some traps on the workshop. There's like 3 versions of this same spike trap. There's a saw one. This one compacts. Log, spikes, spinning blades. Here's the rolling boulder. That's a nice boulder. At the moment, there's not an option to select multiple objects, but do remember, if you're trying to place objects quickly or move them en masse, if you hold shift while you're placing an object, it automatically duplicates it, for instance, so that quickly allows you to place lots of trees. Or you can use the object brush and turn any object into a brush. Say you wanted to turn this lettuce into a brush. You can paint a bunch of lettuce. Alternatively, you can erase objects really quickly to save yourself time. Rose the DA, I heard there was a way to train the AI for room generation. We only train it internally. There is no way for the community to do that. We're open to community feedback in our Discord, so if you have suggestions and stuff for the AI training, you can let us know. I will say this, our AI right now is a little cooked because it's the last gen AI and it's missing a lot of the objects from this update. They were wanting to fine tune the AI a little bit more before they pushed it out, so they, instead of delaying the whole update another month, they pushed out the update in its current state and will add a new updated patch with the improved AI. By the way, when I say AI stream, I just want to clarify. Dungeon Alchemist's AI was developed 100% in-house, entirely by our team. At no point were there any public data sets, art, maps, or anything like that used to help train it. So our devs created the data sets, they made the maps to help train it and designed the AI around that. Additionally, our AI isn't like what you would consider next gen, like ChatGPT or Midjourney or anything like that. It is last gen. It's like procedural AI, so it's more of an RNG numbers game where it places out objects given parameters based on the object size, locations it should be ideally, and then it places them in those places. And you can keep regenerating the room and it kind of does another version of that. John, we do have some merch, like a limited website, but it hasn't really been a priority at the moment. And I'm sorry about that. I've tried to push for merch a couple times. It really just ends up being something that we more just do for our team at the moment. That being said, I think there is a merch command, Atlam, if you try typing merch, see what comes up. But the thing about these shirts here, I had these custom made for me to wear for work for the stream. So it was like a kind of a work thing. They're not something you can just buy. But if you check out that link there, there is a US based spread shop and then a UK or like a Europe based spread shop. So it'll automatically go to the one based on your region. And there are a couple of merch items there. Last I checked though, I thought we would remove most of the clothing because we weren't really happy with their clothing. But look at this thing will reset like over and over and over and over and over. Got it. Yeah, there's like some cups and some like, I think mouse pads. I haven't looked at it in a while. It's been a minute. Probably should update it and check it out. Mainly because our priority has been our community and our, you know, our improvements to DA, not so much the like overall like push for merch. You know what I mean? Rolling, 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 rolling. What? Rolling, 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 rolling. Come on. Hands up or hands down. Move in or move out. Back up, back up. Tell me what. Yes, unfortunately, I grew up in the Limp Bizkit era. That was about the only way me and my stepbrother would bond when we were younger. We would listen to Limp Bizkit and play video games together. And that was pretty much it. Otherwise, we just despised each other, I felt like. So, I have a DA Tumblr, right? I ordered this some time ago. And then I have a couple of shirts and a sweater. Honestly, Sean, I really just love the verticality of maps now. Like, people can really just do what they want with their builds to a lot larger degree, or a larger scope, I should say. Like, this is great. Like a little inn where upstairs there's a balcony and access to the rooms that are all wrapped around, and then the bottom area is like a tavern. Like, I love it. Oh, hey, baby, how you doing? Welcome back. I love the combination of, you know, basically flat roofing, angled roofing, multi-floor. And I've also noticed some of our community members have cleverly noticed that technically you could say draw another floor on here, right? And make flat flooring options that are more like roofing. Like if this is a room, now the floor can be changed like on command. So you could take any of these and make it a roof. Let's say we wanted it to be metal, right? Uh-oh, I pushed the wrong one. Made a mistake. Made a mistake. Need to use that tool right there. That tool. We could just make this like a large metal roof. And that's just floor technically. And it's just a floor without walls or ceilings. If I went up another level, there actually might be a roof here. Oh, there's. Lothak, so you build maps in 3D, so you have a better angle of what's going on with your builds, but they're exported in a top-down, either a flattened perspective or a 3D perspective for tabletop games, primarily Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder and the like. We just actually recently added a multi-level update with roofing, and we're kind of going over some of the options for that now. So you do, in essence, make 3D D&D maps, but they're really only 3D in this tool, in the builder. They export for, you know, top-down for print or for TV tabletop, projector tabletop, virtual tabletop, such as Roll20, let's see here, Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, etc. So when you export our maps, check this out. And depending on like how you play, like if you're playing in person, you have a lot more options. Technically, you could possibly run the game inside of Dungeon Alchemist. But this here shows like all the levels of the map. No, unfortunately, it has no compatibility with 3D exports. There's no export for 3D printing or export for 3D game design or export for a 3D virtual tabletop. There's nothing like that. So we have no plans to offer 3D exports, mainly because it wasn't designed with that in mind. It was designed for top-down exports, and the majority of the assets are like smoke and mirrors. They're very simple shapes wrapped with like brilliantly detailed wallpaper, essentially, what it equates to, called texture mapping. So a lot of the shapes in Dungeon Alchemist are really simple squares, circles, spheres, stuff like that, and it's wrapped around with something very intricate and beautiful. So there's no texture or detail to it. If it were exported as 3D, it'd be like a bunch of gray blobs with no color, no texture, no anything. Kind of a bummer, I know. But if you look at this here, this is like a 4 or 5 level map, and this is it all broken up. So each of these are separate levels of the map. Kind of back to what I was saying here with flat ceilings, or like if you put a, instead of here, now this is technically a floor, but it's still working like a ceiling. Let's see if there's a metal one though. Do that. You could just put like a little top piece here. This is a warehouse after all, so this is like a barrier of protection, right? Prevent people from grappling hook up on or something like that. By the way, you can actually place miniatures in the map, like this alchemist here, and then you can click on it and click on the eyeball icon, Lothak, and you can walk around in the map in first person. You could stream this to your players, like over Discord or Zoom or Teams or whatever. You can record or take screenshots like this, and these are great for handouts. Lizzie, yes, you can do a hex grid within Dungeon Alchemist. Lothak, I'll answer your question in just a moment. Let me answer a question from another feed really quick, because we're multi-streaming on multiple platforms. So under the settings menu, Dungeon Alchemist has grid options, okay? You can go in and change the grid from square to hex, right? So it can be hex within DA. So if you're playing locally, like on a TV tabletop or a projector tabletop where you're printing the maps, that's where you would use this grid. Otherwise, though, I do not recommend using the grid tools in Dungeon Alchemist for anything but measurement. So the grid tools here, you could do hex grid, and the hex grid actually can be resized. It's the only grid portion of the grid tool that can, so you could set them up to like 10 massive grids for, you know, cityscapes. If you're doing forced perspective, you could do massive regional scapes with this kind of stuff, because you could scale them up way large. Okay, they're perfect for that. But if you're exporting for a virtual tabletop, I recommend turning off the grid when you export and using the grid tools within your virtual tabletop, because they're far superior to the basic grid tools we offer. You can adjust their size, their scale, their color, placement, and they'll automatically kind of fit on Dungeon Alchemist, as long as by default you set them to 5 feet or intervals of 5 feet. So as long as you're kind of dividing them by 2 or timesing them by 2, it usually works. Okay, Lothak. I mean, technically, through Steam, there is Steam Game Share, and you could let a player hop in and take control of the mini, but they could just as easily edit your map, too, so it's kind of something to be concerned about. But yes, to a degree, you can do that. At some point in the future, Dungeon Alchemist, once we leave early access and have delivered on all our promises from our Kickstarter, we plan to offer optional expansions, and then also possibly a Dungeon Alchemist virtual tabletop that would get the most use out of the Dungeon Alchemist maps, i.e., you know, support multi-level and roofing to, you know, to a fault, and then also possibly allow you to explore the maps, you know, from a first person or a 3D perspective as a token with multiplayer. Yeah, Lizzie, technically, you could do that. So you would set your grid as hex. Let's say you're making a regional map. Let's just assume this is a big, vast region, okay? For brevity's sake, okay? And then in the overlay tool, you can start adding stamps, like labels. So you could say this is ever the Forgotten Woods. Or put one over here and Succumber City, you know what I mean? So you can do labels like this if you want, right? Additionally, you can import custom icons. So you can import like icons you've made or purchased as packs or found online to put them anywhere on the map. So this could be used for a watermark or a legend on the side telling you what so if you have a number on each building, your players know what the numbers associate with. Or it could be, you know, a legend saying, hey, this symbol means this, or this, you know what I mean? You could also put custom things like this, like the lake, whatever, or this road's name, or whatever you want. Yes. Lothak, I highly recommend you check out our demo on Steam. We offer a free demo. You can download it and give us a try, little test drive. I don't know offhand. Sorry, Miss Terry. Asmodeus, can you answer that by chance, bud? I do think that module helps a little bit that we were telling you about earlier. The Blender to DA. Anyway. Unfortunately, I don't know the default size. I believe, you know, when you open the import tool, it shows like squares, right? And each of those squares internally, I'm trying to remember. I think they're like 100 pixels by 100 pixels, and then they're like a 3-meter square internally for size reference. So the objects and size are in there are based off of that, but that has no reference in Blender at all. So I'm not 100% certain. Yeah, Miss Terry, if someone here can't answer, like Asmodeus lurks sometimes and isn't always available to answer questions. If someone here can't answer the question, I would highly recommend spinning up a thread in the Discord. Because then if not here, someone will see it and take a look at it. The stream chat will disappear once, you know, after the stream, and only people who maybe watch the VODs might see it later. I did answer Lizzie's question. This is what this hex grid is all about here. Yeah, testing, a little bit of trial and error goes a long way too. Oh. Those little symbols, Lizzie, that were like a tree or a mountain, you'd have to make those yourself or locate them online. But yes, you can add symbols through the overlay tool on our maps. Okay, we're going to find us a new map. Does anyone have questions how these kind of structured roads are made? Because I can further elaborate on it before we move on. What is contagious, Philadelphia? Swedish cook, thank you. I mean, you can maybe locate graphic packs online, or maybe find some, or yeah, or you could commission an artist to help you make them custom. Unfortunately, we only have so many tools for overlay stuff. There's like a frame for your maps or a compass. There's not a whole lot in here at the moment. There could be more for sure. Would be nice, but right now we've given you ability to import maps to trace them. So if you have like a map you want to replicate that you drew by hand or found online, or maybe an old map you made in Dungeon Alchemist, you can import it and trace it. You can also add elements and custom labels, but as of right now, anything beyond that that's not in the scope of this, you'd have to use this abstract tool to import custom. Oh, excuse me. And when you do these, you place it and there's an option to insert a custom image. So from here, you could put whatever symbols you want. Here's some beans. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you. Yawning? Yeah, it can be, huh? I've been up since like 6, and I've been out in the heat all day because it gets hot here in Vegas. Like even at like 6, it's already hot. And had a busy morning, and right before stream, I got done working outside and then took a shower, ate, pounded a cup of coffee, and then jumped on stream. Been busy. Lizzie, so tool token tool 2.0 is a tool that our mod is recommending. They don't have Facebook that they can chat, so they're letting me know to tell you. Swan Song, this is called Dungeon Alchemist. How you doing, by the way? My name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. So our account, Dungeon Alchemist, the name of the app, Dungeon Alchemist, it's available on Steam. There's a link in our profile that goes to our website, and from there, there's links to Steam, our roadmap, our social media, our Discord, etc. But we offer, hey, thank you for the follow, by the way. We offer a free demo on Steam, so you can kind of try us out before you buy and see if it runs on your computer, and how well it may run before you invest, too much time or money. The demo gives you kind of a small slice of the overall pie. It gives you access to our forest biome, which is one of like 12 biomes, and the ability to build a tavern. You can make a tavern, you can add stuff to it, a limited set of objects, and you can even export it for print or save it as a digital file to use on like a TV tabletop or a projector tabletop. Or you can export it for virtual tabletops like Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, etc. And those exports include information, a data file that includes both, you get the image of the map or a video, and then a data file including like all the walls, windows, doors, and lighting information. Glad to hear it. Yeah, usually the more powerful a computer you have, the larger maps you can make, right? So the more, like if you've got a streaming rig or a gaming rig, usually it means you can handle more like intricate, detailed maps that are multi-level and rather large. By the way, because of we just released an update on the 10th, and we're patching out some bugs that our community has found since the update. And there was actually a bug that I found and reported to our devs team, but our lead dev is out of town right now on a well-deserved break because he worked for like 8 months straight prior to the launch of the update on the 10th of July. So he's on a quick vacation. When he gets back, he's going to start patching and hot fixing and stuff like that, to his heart content, and getting the build, in order. But this bug, if you're encountering it, just so you know, when you open a map, whether it's your own map or a map from the Steam Workshop, that map, it may be laggy when you first open it. The way I can tell is I've been putting on the FPS counter on from Steam so I can monitor it. But usually my FPS tank when I load a new map, even when I'm like way zoomed in or it's nothing. And this bug, for some reason, DA defaults to a higher graphics setting until you open the settings menu. So you can either go to File and Settings. Once you open and close the setting menu, it fixes the bug. Or if you hit Escape and click Settings and then Exit, same thing. I know that's kind of a pain, but it's a quick, simple fix. So if any of you are noticing a performance dip when you first open any map, and it's even if you open it again later, that same thing can happen. So when you open a map, just pop into settings and exit out. We'll have this fixed hopefully within a couple of weeks. So anyway, yeah, Token Tool 2.0 is what it's called, Lizzie. They said check it out because they use that to make you can make markers and stuff like that to signify different symbols or areas. Really like this little patio. Love this mezzanine and kind of balcony area with the stairs going up. You got it all figured out? Yeah, I guess the module Miss Terry has that in it. So definitely check it out if you can. It's free. Ooh, look there's a cellar. I forgot. Yeah, the cellar's getting overrun by mushrooms. Swan Song, by the way, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. These streams are AMA format, which means ask me anything. I am live on multiple platforms, so if you see me talking to people you're not seeing in the TikTok chat, that's why. I'm live on Twitch and Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Steam, etc. So I'm all over the place monitoring multiple chats. How did I add the second floor? To add a second floor, you either press the plus symbol to jump up to the second level, or you click this up arrow in the top right. And then when you're up on the second floor of a building, you use the room tool to just draw another room on top of the first room. So you have your first floor on the bottom, right? I.e. whatever it is, a farm or a house or whatever, right? Here, let me draw. Oh, witch hut. Little house right here, which you can shape it before you generate it. Remember, you can shape the house by pulling on the dots on the corner. You can either make straight cuts, convex or concave cuts, and then you can do this on every corner, even to make like perfect circles if the square is, if it's an equally shaped square. So you can kind of shape the structure, you can rotate it, you can raise it and lower it before you generate it. Once it's generated and you have your first floor, I'm just doing, oh, I forgot, I disabled walls. I'm gonna generate it now, okay? Now you can jump up to the second floor with either the plus key or click on that arrow and then just generate right on top. Remember, it doesn't have to be the exact same shape, but if it is, you know, it's just a nice uniform shape. And at this point, if you want to default the room and make it just like a 2-story floor, you can remove the floor tiles, make it 2 stories, or have a balcony and upper areas and stuff like that. Wait, round, how? So, when you're wanting to do a round structure, I find having the grid set to square really helps. And having it enabled so you can see. When you want to make a perfectly round room, it has to be an equally divisible amount of squares. And what I mean by that is it can't be 5 by 5, because that splits the square in half. That would be 2.5 split equally, right? It needs to be 4 by 4, 6 by 6, 2 by 2, 14 by 14. So if you grab with your room tool and drag, say you do a 6 by 6, right? There we go. Now, when you notice before I click generate, I can do a lot with this floor plan. You can grab these little dots on the corner. There's like little white dots. So you hover it with your mouse, left click, and you can pull in. If you pull in too far, it'll start looking like a pizza or a pie. But if you pull into the center square, which that peak is 3 squares in now on both sides, right? If I go beyond now, it's in too far, it'll make like an ovoid shape. So make sure you pull that first side equal to the center of that square. So 3 squares in. Or let's say it's 8 by 8, it'd be 4 squares in. So having the grid available for building helps a lot. So once you've got it all in there, you generate the structure, boom, generates a round room. And then generate a round room on top of it. Maybe you want an area coming off of that. A balcony or something, right? The brain bomb question. When I want to open a new map, it sometimes says out of memory. Do you know why? Are you getting like an error? Something like that you could screenshot? I've not really heard of this before. Can you also share your PC specs with me? Like, tell me how much RAM do you have? Also, how big is your like drive space? Also, how big is the map you're generating? Yeah. When you generate a map that's over 60 by 60, you do get an error, or over 50 by 50. So let's say we'll do a 60 by 60. Hey, thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you for the like, by the way. So when you jump into a new map, it gives you like a little warning saying, hey, this map is big. This right here. It's not saying you're out of memory. It's just telling you that this is kind of larger than we recommend building for the average computer. And also most battle maps, that's kind of huge. So just take it into account. Beyond this point, you kind of do so at your own risk, with either your computer has to be able to handle it, or it's possible that the map may not work properly with your virtual tabletop, because they also have size limits for file size and resolution size. You just noticed all your assets are unpainted. Did you download the module like we've told you to, Miss Terry? I believe that might have something to do with it being configured incorrectly. It has to be set up as principled BDF, BDSF. I believe that's the term they use. Ow! Hold on. Easiest. Charlie horse. I know y'all are typing, but I can't where I'm. Cat moving. Ah, man, that just got me good. Holy cow. Miss Terry, how large was the asset, like the file? The file size? You probably want to keep them about 10 megabytes or less, so if you can decimate them a bit to make them smaller, it's ideal. Honestly, I've got a Charlie horse in the back of my thigh, and it's really messing me up. I have not had one back here in years, and it just hurts to sit, so I might need to stretch a little bit more. Would you guys and gals be okay with me just going out in the hall and stretching for a minute? You should have seen me this morning. I was crawling all around my boat, in and out. Don't have any bananas on standby, sadly. Geez, that's like straight up coded from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, isn't it? Okay, I'll be right back. Give me a minute. Okay, I refilled my water. I stretched my poor thighs. And I hit the back of my thighs with my massage gun that I use for my sciatica. And that helped a lot. And then I also took a potassium vitamin. Well, the maps you make by default, like when you generate an environment, will only use our stock assets, and the room generation will only use stock assets. And then assets you download from the workshop, they're denoted with a small little icon on them in the asset browser that looks like a download icon, like a cloud with an arrow in it. So if when they're mixed into other categories, you can quickly tell which one's which. I'll show you in a moment after we download this map. You can find them on like Amazon, Mondu. They're essentially what equates to, hey, Ugly Jester, thank you for the follow, by the way, much appreciated. So they equate to what is it's like a battery pack and like it looks kind of gun shaped, and then it has these attachments that you put on it, right? That are like one's like one's like a pointy piece that's kind of like got these prongs, and you can use it to like go over your shoulder blade or like around your muscle areas. One has like a foam ball. That's the one I use the most. And you can hit your you turn it on, it just goes like really quick, and you can hit your muscle with it for like a minute or two, and it usually feels much better. I do feel much better. Yeah, I feel much better. I just needed a minute to stretch. Before, I just laid down on the ground so I could stave it off. Man, I have not had a Charlie horse just affect me in stream like that. I honestly, I'm probably just a bit dehydrated from sweating buckets outside and climbing all over my garage and around the boat thing I just sold. So I'm just like worn out. My body just kind of was like, I moved my leg literally to just kind of make it a little bit more comfortable. And then all of a sudden it just shot pains up my leg. And then I laid down thinking, oh, that'll help. And then my other leg got a Charlie horse, double Charlie horse. You're not a fan of sour cream? Man, I wonder about you, Lord Rev. Just kidding. By the way, tropism. You're going to want to check out our website for our terms and conditions. Article 4.1 of our terms of service, also in the drop-down menu, I believe, in the help menu, or one of those top two in the top right menu of DA goes towards it. But Article 4.1 of our terms of service. Actually, can someone just drop that link in YouTube for tropism? It covers like information related to selling maps. So if you make maps for resale, for commission, or you know, any number of reasons. No, I just love sour cream, so I was just giving you a hard time because I think it's a great accoutrement. You know, it's a good sauce with a lot of different things, and you can mix other sauces into it to make interesting new flavor profiles. But I also love me, you know, tacos and burritos and the things that sour cream just goes on normal. Goodness. The workshop is slow today, huh? Wife mixes it into her cornbread. Honestly, that sounds interesting. So like I enjoy cornbread as it's like by itself or with some butter or as a sweet like thing, you know, with some like powdered sugar or something on it, or like, you know, whatever. You can even put like a glaze or something on it, whatever. But I also love cornbread with savory stuff. Like I eat it with chili sometimes, or yeah, I will like dip it in sauce and eat it. Honestly, Miss Terry, you should be able to import them with the color. There's a step missing. If you spin up a thread in the Discord, I'm sure we can walk you through it and get the color working, because you want to do it right. And that way you get all the information with it. It should be able to be imported. I love chives. I love chives. I enjoy some, you know, mushrooms once in a while. Oh, they're not painted. That makes sense. I get it. I have mixed feelings about onions. I like them in a certain context. Potato Blobfish says, hello, I am 14-year-old. I am passionate of D&D game. I wish to buy your game soon, but actually not have the money for. Well, one thing I can recommend, Potato Blobfish, is put Dungeon Alchemist on your wish list. So if it ever goes on sale, you can, you know it's on sale immediately. So while you're saving and putting away, your pennies towards getting it someday, you can hopefully get a discount. Another thing to consider too, we do offer a free demo so you can try Dungeon Alchemist out on your computer in a limited capacity for free. You're a monster, Rev. I think my aversion to onions came from me working fast food for so long. Like in my youth, my first couple of jobs were fast food. I worked for a couple of restaurants. Well, 3 restaurants. I worked for McDonald's, I worked for Sonic, and then I worked for like a little local burger joint. It was like a mom and pop place called the Burger Bar. And that's before I started working, retail and other jobs, corporate offices, and then finally content creation and community management. Anyway, moving on from that. Like when I worked at Sonic, I'd go in at like 3 a.m. and I'd make like 50 pounds of onion rings by hand for our whole day's worth of onion rings. So I'd sit there and slice onions up and then batter them and then, prep them and store them in a freezer or a fridge for the day. And I think between that and like, minced onions, cutting up onions, prepping burgers with onions and making tons of onion rings, I got so like averse to them after a while. I don't know. What's up, Detonator? Our Sonic did back in the day, at least. So each Sonic is like a franchise place. So they kind of have like their core menu, but the locations can add stuff. But most Sonics have onion rings. And yes, the location will order in your onions and usually make them. They have a machine for slicing them up into rings, and then you spread them all out, put them in a bin and batter them, and then store them. And then they fry them on the spot when you order them. So they usually cut them that morning, or if not, the day before. But if you're not sure, you could always just ask that Sonic if they do or not. That's funny. That was your takeaway here. I love it. Yeah, Miss Terry, Asmodeus is correct. When you're importing assets, you want to keep them like, if possible, 10 megabytes or less. But if you go more than that, try to keep them 25 megabytes or less. Some of the assets that have been uploaded through the workshop are hundreds of megabytes. And that needs to preload first into your RAM as DA loads before it can, verify and load DA. So the more assets you have can greatly affect your performance if you only have so much RAM. So I often will A, only subscribe to assets as I need, and B, when I'm uploading assets, I make sure that they have the like absolute smallest size I can make them while not compromising quality. Awesome. Glad you, I'm so excited for your journey with assets. I'm hoping you set some of them to public, because when you import them by default, they're sent to local. But you can actually, so they'll be under this panel on this side, local. But you can go over here, set it to public, meaning anyone in the workshop can download it. You could set it to friends only, or you could set it to private. If it's private and you give it a description and upload it, then it's shared to the cloud, so you have a backup of it. That way, if something happens, you have it somewhere and you don't need to re-upload it again, right? That being said, if you set it to public, others can make use of it and use it in their maps, and it might even be featured in our weekly newsletter. Accidentally gigantic Mulk Guardian, no worries. Potato blobfish, awesome. Honestly, the streams get a little sidetracked sometimes. Once in a while, we'll talk about sci-fi shows. Sometimes, most of the time, we're talking about maps and D&D. But yeah, we'll get a little distracted because I just try to fill time, dead air, more than anything with like discussion about anything. Because I feel like at the end of the day, we all are humans. We've all experienced life, and there's like so many aspects of our day-to-day that are interesting or funny, humorous, or honestly just like worth discussing, you know? But yeah, I feel like in my lifetime, I've probably created like hundreds of thousands of onion rings. I worked for Sonic for like 2.5 years, and I was the opening supervisor for 1.5 years, and I made so many onion rings. Your parents say you can buy it the 16th because it's your birthday? Well, hey, you're so close, and happy birthday to you. I did make chili dogs. So Sonic is a drive-in restaurant. They try to match that aesthetic of being like at a drive-in, you know, restaurant that would have been like in the, you know, 40s through 60s, primarily in the US, where it was like a covered top and you'd pull in and a car hop with skates would come out and take your order and then take it in and come back with your burgers and fries and your shakes and put it on a little thing that hangs on your window, and then you'd pay and eat there and then leave. Onion Alchemist, right? So Sonic is essentially trying to keep that vibe while modernizing and offering, you know, more speed. It's funny. But yeah, honestly, I just got so burnt out on onion rings. That being said, though, I did make a ton of chili dogs, but not nearly as many. In fact, I'd never had a chili dog until I started working at Sonic. Here, let's hear stories about everyone's, like, one of your first jobs. A silly story from one of your first jobs. I know most of us have at least had our first job, and probably something humorous or dorky happened to us. Hey, Story Pop, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Appreciate that. This looks so cool. The big warehouse complex. Modern setting. Look at this. They put some roads in. How many maps do you see that would work good for a modern setting? Oh, nice, Toastig. Dude, I just saw your DM yesterday. I'm sorry. I have DM filtering set to requests, and I don't notice the messages for like weeks sometimes, so my bad. That being said, we don't have like an affiliate program or anything because Steam isn't conducive to it. We can chat more though later because I like your energy, and maybe we can work out something else. Do we have A&W? You know, I have eaten at A&W a few times. And where I grew up, there was an A&W that was in the same bit. They were like an A&W KFC in one together. So like you could order KFC stuff and A&W stuff in the same building. Miss Terry, wow, you weren't paid for that long? That's crazy. Oof, that doesn't sound fair. Let's see here. When I worked at Walmart, after I moved inside the store into the shoe department, on really bad days, I would walk around singing the Toys R Us theme song to make myself feel better and annoy the managers. Honestly, I bet a bank was probably a boring job, but it's like so stable and nice and cool. Like it's probably busy, or it's probably like when it's boring and slow, it's not like when you work retail or at like another job, when it's slow, you're expected to clean and put stuff away. And like, I bet you when it's slow at the bank, you like put in the new forms and just kind of wait for employees or maybe fill out some paperwork instead of like continually busting your butt all day. Like when I worked at Best Buy, when we were not busy with customers, we were expecting to be pulling stock from the warehouse, putting it on the shelves, facing the shelves because they get all messed up, and, you know, reorganizing them, doing what's called planograms, reorganizing shelves entirely and putting new product there, you know, doing stock counts, cycle counts, so you would check to make sure the stock matched your inventory. Man, you were always busy. You never got a chance to just chill out unless it was your lunch. And I'm not like trying to steal from the man or anything, but it's like, I think it's good to have a social like aspect at work where you have camaraderie and you get to know each other because it's easier to work together, right? But at Best Buy, it felt like you were just kind of an isolated person working alone, doing all these tasks by yourself all day. Best onion rings. I'm in New Zealand, so no Sonic. Oh no, tropism. Anani, your first job was at an ice cream shop and you only had a single, or never ate a single scoop of ice cream? They didn't even like offer to give you any? Jeez. You worked at a truck stop in northern Arizona. I used to smoke while cleaning the, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, Toastig. You rebel. That sounds scary. What kind of truck stop was it? Was it like a Flying J type thing? Wow, random ladybird. That's a cool job. Oh, that's really, I mean, at least you got some good experience out of it, Miss Terry. You work as a doctor, Brain Bomb? Well, then here, I've got this weird, no, I'm just kidding. I bet you the second you like tell someone you're a doctor, they're like, hey, can you look at this? Or I've had this thing going on. Too funny. Okay, privately owned truck stop. Interesting. Cool. Toastig, tell me about your map, man. What are you doing with it? What's going on with it? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, Brain Bomb. I was totally joking because I know doctors deal with that all the time. Because especially in the US, because like too many Americans don't get to go to the doctor regularly or avoid it because they can't afford it or don't have insurance. And so they basically, like, the second they realize someone's a nurse or a doctor, they just immediately will ask them. It's awful. I feel bad, you know? But if it makes you feel any better, for years, my family like basically made me the tech guy because I was smart at it as a kid and knew computers and technology. And then I worked at an electronics store for years. And so basically I was the de facto tech guy. Anytime it's like, oh, my computer does this, can you fix it? I'm like, is your computer here right now? No, can I? Oh, well, I can't see it. I can't really fix it. You know, and then I did that for years, and then finally I just acted like I got dumb at technology. Man, I haven't sold a computer in forever. I haven't looked at this stuff in so long. I barely know anything about it anymore. I don't think you could get away with that, Brain Bomb. Honestly, if you said that to anyone, being like, honestly, man, I went to med school 25 years ago. I barely know anything anymore. Goodness. It took a while to break them of the habit of calling me for everything technological, but I think it's finally over. I'm free. Another beautiful example of roads, streets. I'm planning on running some character duels on my lives. That's gotta be cool. Trying to create it in multiple levels, then I'll be adding random hazards during the live using Foundry. That's cool. Are you gonna let your stream interact by like letting them control actions of, say, the NPCs that they're fighting against, or the big bad, or maybe have them, you know, if they donate X amount for your, you know, like if they throw you a galaxy, they can give the party inspiration or someone inspiration in the battle or something. Just some thoughts. I don't know. Are you considering that kind of interactivity with it, Toastig? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's... oh my gosh, isn't that such a Linux thing to say though, Rev? Like a Linux user? Well, a PC person's like, hey, my PC is doing this and it's having this issue. Just install Linux. Clearly, they don't want to scrub their OS and install a new one and learn it. Like, they just want to fix this issue. I swear, Linux people, I swear they do that on purpose. Just to, that's their chance to advertise Linux to everyone. Just install Linux. Oh, they're not. Shoot, for all I know, you could be my dad, Dadinator. Who knows? That name is ominous. Honestly, though, I highly doubt my family watches my stream. They don't really care for my career or supporting it or D&D or games or technology, as I said before. Heck yeah, there'll be 1 minute pulls to see what happens next. And yes, gifts will allow them to add hazards. That's cool. Also using clock numbering at every 5th round. I will say this, be careful about letting them stack hazards because it can get really hard to manage as players really quick. I played games that offered like stream games that had interactivity like that, where you could like bring on more mobs or like take away their health or their power-ups and stuff. And it gets really, really unfun really quick. So maybe only allow like once per minute or once per round or something like that, so it doesn't get too unmanageable. But yeah, that sounds cool. The Dragon Blast sounds cool. 2D12. Oh my gosh. That's cool. Oh my gosh. What do we got here? Hey. Oh, you just want. Oh, come here. Please, we got a puppy. We got a puppy. For those that are new here, this is Seymour. He's a bit of a stream icon. Most of the viewers prefer him to me. In fact, they probably just watch him the whole time if there was this. Yeah, he's just snugging dad. Being a goobs. Goobs boy. So handsome. You look at the camera? He's very snuggly. Our pup-tector deputy dog is what we call him sometimes. Always patrolling, checking the doors. Here's a little sound. What's that? Deputy dog. Yes, Miss Terry, there is. Take him. When you generate your room, Miss Terry, before you generate the floor plan, select the room type, right? So let's say you wanted to do a witch's hut. Before you generate it, click this AI settings tab here, and then make sure you're in normal room, which is the default room type, and then uncheck objects and windows and doors. So just leave floors and walls. And alternatively, if you generate a room without any of this, it's just like a street or a floor. So that's how these streets were made. They actually used the alley room type there and just ran through. That being said, yeah, you can generate rooms with just windows or no windows, no doors, whatever. No worries. It's easy to forget. Now you hopefully be a pro. I just love how our community can essentially unleash their creativity now with this update. No more worrying about multi-level and how it, you know, how you can accomplish it. It's much more straightforward and simple. Between the shaping tools for rooms and then the multi-level and roofing, it feels like a completely new mapping tool, right? That's at least my assessment at the moment. Like a completely new program. Toastig, I'm glad I stumbled across your stream, and honestly, dude, I cannot believe I saw the DA patch notes like faintly under your text. My mind was blown. because I thought my screen had burn-in for a second, or like there was something lagging on my phone. And then I reloaded the stream and saw it again, so I screenshotted it and I showed it to my wife. I'm like, is that Dungeon Alchemist there? And then okay, I gotta say something. The screenshot I have of it, it's almost invisible until you zoom in. I showed it to the dev team and they laughed. I'm really good at sniping out Dungeon Alchemist content and streams. I essentially will lurk and try to find content creators on various platforms. Kind of hard on TikTok because we don't have a category for Dungeon Alchemist yet, and I'm not sure how to petition for one or get one added. But we do have a category on YouTube and on Twitch and like pretty much every stream platform, Trovo, and on what is Kick or whatever that other one is. So we have like a tag there, so I can kind of lurk and see if anyone's using it and then find them. And I'll usually check their streams out and support them that way. But also when I go into like Pathfinder or D&D sections, you got these little stream previews that are like an inch by an inch, and I can see a DA map like that. I'm really good at sniping them out. But yeah, no problem at all. I love supporting content creators and, you know, streamers and map makers however I can. Yeah, you do, Rev. For any platform you can share a video, really. So if you want to share your social media or videos or streams related to Dungeon Alchemist, so Dungeon Alchemist content only, you can self-promo inside of our Discord in the self-promo channel. So there's a channel labeled self-promo in our Discord where you can share, you know, if you have a Patreon or do commission work or you do streams or videos related to Dungeon Alchemist, you can share them there and hopefully signal boost it a bit. And that also helps me because I see it and will usually go check it out as well. Yeah, I used to do that a lot, but I'd get way too caught up with the hashtag, and then I'd like respond and like all of them, and then I couldn't see any new ones for like a week or like 3 weeks or something. The TikTok search isn't always very friendly that way. But yeah, I do quite a bit. Search around on, you know, Blue Sky, Facebook, Reddit. Primarily, I'll find Reddit posts all the time. And then TikTok. I do appreciate the platform quite a bit. Learning it as I go, though. It's totally new world to me. You know, I grew up when screens were getting wider, not taller. So it's very confusing for me to watch stuff in a vertical format. I like everything like landscape, not portrait. Practice makes perfect, Rev. The more you post and the more you interact with other people on social media, the more you'll network and grow, inevitably. Especially as a new creator on a platform, you can't just expect people to find you. You know, obviously you can share your social media in our like Discord or in a few places with me, etc. But if you want to find clients or other, you know, map makers or content creators that you want to vibe with and, you know, network with or, you know, appreciate their content, it's a two-way street, really. You should go out and find other creators on the platform, follow them, support their content, interact with them, talk to them, like, you know, share. The more you do that, the more you'll grow as a creator. It's an inevitable causality. I mean, honestly, like throughout my entire content creation like career, and that's like now going on like 15 years. Early on, I tried to do everything by myself and just be my own little island, right? But I found the more you interact with others, the more people tend to want to check out your stuff and interact with it. And then you'll build like a little base, and then you'll start growing off of that exponentially. Streaming and content creation is like a multi-pronged attack, really. If you're trying to sell your maps or any kind of content, you sell yourself as a content creator, only being on one platform, you're doing yourself a horrible, horrible favor. Like, it's not actually a favor. It's not doing yourself any favors. The more more baskets you can put your eggs in, the better chance you'll have of success, especially if you're trying to, grow as a content creator, a streamer, or as a commission artist. Yeah, that's true, Toastig. Man, my algorithm for the last few months has been so broken, though. It starts sending me into weird timelines that I don't care for, and I'm always like trying to purge it from my stuff. I still get quite a bit of D&D content and map maker content, but I feel like TikTok has been weird the last like 5 or 6 months. It's not the same. So the stream only has about 15-20 minutes left. If you have any last minute inquiries for support, questions, suggestions, feedback for the devs, for instance, let me know and I'll take notes and pass it on. Also, we're just here hanging out. I enjoy, being here, vibing with everyone. Hey, Chris, how you doing, bud? By the way, yeah, self-promotion, there's a time and a place for it. Some platforms are cool with it, other platforms are not. Like on Twitch, most streamers aren't going to be cool with you going into their stream and self-promoting. In fact, even as Dungeon Alchemist, I try not to do it. I'll just drop in and say hi, and I wait for a cue from the creator being like, hey, I love your stuff. Hey, tell me more about it. Then I will say something. But typically, I don't just dive in and be like, hey, check out our channel, check out Dungeon Alchemist. First off, that's way too aggressive of a sales pitch. Secondly, as a content creator, that comes off as you trying to steal their viewership or assert yourself into their community, which it's a faux pas. It's really not a good thing to do. I think there's a time and a place for self-promotion. Some platforms allow it, like Blue Sky, and some places allow you to self-promo. But I definitely think do it carefully. Like Reddit, for instance, Reddit does not like self-promotion at all. Yeah, on Blue Sky, it's totally fine. So you mean the scene regions feature, Brain Bomb? Chris, update to being sick is getting to see some of the live. I'm glad you got to see the live, but I'm sorry you're feeling sick. I hope you are on to a road to recovery and health. Sending good vibes your way, my friend. Sending some damn vibes your way. Remember, when you import the asset, you can also scale it down inside the asset importer to get it right again. I know you want to save yourself that time, but you can. Diagonal walls are quite easy, Toasted. Let me show you. Circular, diagonal, all that stuff's totally possible. Let me open up a new map. So, I'll be honest with you, Brain Bomb, our last update took the better part of 13 months to bring to Steam and to a full realization. And even Fun with Objects had to be split into 2 parts because it was such a big update and we didn't want to delay it till the end of the year. So Fun with Objects Part 1 came out in July with like roofing, multi-level, a bunch of new object features, quality of life improvements, and then there'll be Part 2 hopefully before the end of the year. Now, Foundry in that time released 12 and 13, and we didn't really get to address any of the changes or updates or things they've now made stock. Typically, the devs will, when there's a kind of a gap between the updates, will look at that and see what new features have rolled out on these virtual tabletops, because they're always improving and adding new features. In Foundry's case, they tend to meld or mesh, like they'll take a module and make it a stock feature. And when they do that, we're so much more inclined to develop support for it, because when it's a module, it could disappear at any time. No support for a future version of Foundry. Someone could stop, caring to update it or work on it, develop it, any number of reasons, right? So when it is a stock feature, we are so much more inclined to support it in the long run. Now that it is, I think that we'll look into ways to implementing it, at least for like stairs and things like that, hatches, ladders, where it transitions to another space. Okay, so you want to know how to do a diagonal room. So first and foremost, I'm going to turn on the grid so I can see kind of everything I'm laying out at the moment. I've got the AI settings blank with just walls and floors, so it'll just make the shape and generate really quickly. So draw out your floor plan, just the kind of basis of it. Doesn't really matter to begin. And then you see these little dots in the corner, Toastig. Kind of hard to see unless you're way zoomed out. They're a little bit bigger. But you can grab that dot and you can pull it inward for round cuts. Or, you know, so you can do convex or concave cuts. And if you pull it to the side and then inward, it makes diagonal cuts. So you can use this to make like hexagonal shaped rooms or diagonal, you know, entrances or corners all, you know, have a slight diagonal feature to them like this. But you can do this on every corner. Yep. So once you have the floor plan kind of shaped, remember also you can rotate floor plans, you can raise or lower them. Or you can just leave them at their stock, you know, height, which is the default floor height for your maps. So I'm just going to rotate it a little bit and then generate it. That isn't a hexagon, I know. It's not a perfect one, but you get what I'm... Ondu, I know you're just so helpful right now. I was just saying it's possible to do it if you get the right shaping, for sure. I think it's actually an odd shaping that you start with to make a hexagon. Like if you do a 9x9, you can break it down. Floor on top of that. And then here, I'm just gonna extend this out to a second floor. So now we have a second level. Let's see if I can make a hexagon. I haven't really practiced making one intentionally. I'm sure there's like, we should really try and figure out like the most common shapes and show people how to quickly make them. It'd be pretty fun. Obviously square and rectangle, pretty simple, but if you're trying to make like a hexagon or an octagon, or might be a little tricky. So let's try 9x9. I think you go in 3 for each like this. Yep, that's what it is. This might make a hexagon. I can't remember, but it's an evenly faced. No, that's a hex. Got a hexagon. Or no, that's an octagon. Oh my gosh, I need to learn how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. So we got an octagon. But that was like 9x9 to break it down. I'm wondering how we could get a hexagon. Is that even possible? That actually is like they're all the same shape all the way around, bud. All of them are 3 square faces. I know the cut by diagonal technically is a little bit longer, but in D&D, for all intents and purposes, 5 feet, it's 5 feet in every direction of that square, even though technically the diagonal cut is longer. Hexagon is the best hexagon. Do you know how to make a hexagon, Rev? I have not tried, actually. Yeah, you could do rupees. I've seen rupees before. Like something like this. Or like you can do diamond shapes and you can make ship shapes, all sorts of stuff. I've seen some pointed rubies before too. You know, I think it'd be fun to see if we could figure out all the shapes we could make and then put up tutorials for them being like, this is how you make this. This is how you make this shape. It's like a, yeah, there's a rupee. Love it. Unfortunately, most of the buildings built around the square grid and how it attaches to it. I guess you could use the hex grid to try and use it as a guide, but I don't know if it would actually help. Let's see here. Let's turn on the hex grid and we'll set it to like, oh, let's try an 8. Yeah, the problem is it always does straight cuts, right? Nope, failed. I guess a rupee kind of is a hexagon. Yeah, technically. By the way, is there an option to go above corners of 10 by 10 zones? Like, how can I make a massive round tower? Well, you can technically make rounds, I believe, up to between. I think the highest is 16 by 16, or is it 20 by 20? Somewhere in there. That is the highest size you can make an accurate circle. Beyond that, it makes what we call a squircle. So if you draw out a room, 20 by 20 is the largest circle you can make. Right. So if you draw out the room, remember, you want to pull this circle arm into the center, the line of the 10th square, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right there, I think. So it's like it hits the line of that last piece. Otherwise, it'll be like an ovoid if you're off just a little bit, right? Start making these weird like bean shapes or squircle shapes. Anyway. But yeah, this is 20 by 20 circle room. There's no option for above. Oh, you mean beyond 20 by 20? Is there a reason you need beyond 20 by 20? Like, that's an absolutely massive tower. 20 squares across, that's 100 feet across. Logistically speaking, this would be like 90% pillars below just to hold it up. Stairs right now are manual. You have to put them where you want because we want you to be able to place them where you see fit. I think eventually the AI will start supplementing in stairs too, but we'll see. But when you place a stair, I usually go up a level and then put the stair below, so stairs will dynamically cut a hole in the room above. So when you place a staircase in the room below, it dynamically cuts a hole in the space above. Got you. Another thing you can try, Anani, is when you put it in, say, do you use a virtual tabletop, my friend? So the arena, you're trying to make it more like a rounded or like a rectangle-ish kind of toe stick. Is that what you're going for? Gotcha. So that kind of leaves you limited there, Anani. If you use a virtual tabletop like Foundry, you can use their grid tools and you could scale their grid down or up. So instead of setting it to 5, you could set it to 2.5 or to 10. So when it's 2.5, now this 20 square room becomes a 40 square room. Does that make sense? It doubled in size just because I made the grid smaller. Unfortunately, the DA grid can't be adjusted that way with the square grid yet. Yep, so essentially all you're doing is making a flat roof at that point. But because you distinguished it as a room, you can set a floor to be any rooftop you want as a flat roof. And there are even walls in the wall tool that supplement that toe stick. If you go here, there's these roof borders. These are great to put on the flat, like room wall, like room floors. I actually love using that method instead because when you're using the angled roof is great, don't get me wrong, but the flat roofing, you're set with that exact stone pattern and whatever's outside of it. This one, you can choose any floor as a pattern. So you could have gardens on your rooftop, or like, you know, anything really. And then you can also have a stair up there and put banisters around it and have like a balcony and patios and other things. So yeah, it's a good way to do a patio or something of the like. I understand what you're doing entirely though. Instead here, so what you would do, y'all, what we're talking about, we're gonna generate this last floor without any walls, right? I'm gonna generate it. So now it's like, look at that, it's like a floating roof. You can delete it with the roof erase tool. And now this is just a flat roof, technically, which I could put any floor type here instead of being restricted to the roofing options. I can now put whatever I wanted here. Maybe I can make it all plants. Uh-oh, I made a mistake. There. But you could paint in like a garden on the rooftop if you wanted to in one area, or you could make it a stone roof or a bone roof, or you could do some of these ruined hardwood to make it feel like it's collapsing in parts. You know what I mean? You can do all sorts of things with it because you now have all the floor options at your disposal instead of just the, you know, 20 or 30 flat roofs and 20 or 30 angle roofs. I love actually going in like this and then taking the roof borders and adding them on manually, so you could just pick and choose. So I want this. Oh, I'm up too high. That's why. I was up a floor too high and it was like not picking it as a wall space. But now I just put a little roof border around this, but this could be like a big balcony deck area because you could run a stair up to it and then you could also decorate on top of it. You know, I've seen the ads for it and stuff, but I haven't watched it. Is it good, Brain Bomb? By the way, y'all, just a quick shameless self-promotion for the Dungeon Alchemist crew and our team and community. If you're enjoying these streams, I highly encourage you to hit that like, you know, subscribe, share, whatever your platform has. If you could do so and support the stream in that way, it would mean the world to me and our community. These community initiatives, we have 3 streams per week. Every week, like clockworks, we do a stream Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Saturday's stream, the theme alternates every other week. This week was the Dam stream, where we showcase maps from the workshop, provide live tutorials in AMA format, and just generally hang out and vibe as a bunch of like-minded map makers and GMs. That stream, the alternating Saturday, is the Dam Challenge, which you have about 6 days left to finalize your entry. The current Dam Challenge is magical disasters is the theme. So using magical disasters as inspiration, make a map of any shape or size, submit it to the Dam Challenge channel in our Discord. There's some rules pinned at the top of that channel. You must adhere to those rules for your map to qualify. And if you follow the rules, you're all qualified. You have a chance to win a $10 Hero Forge gift card, which is, a free token or 2 for integration with Dungeon Alchemist. And your map is the first map featured on that stream. So you get a lot of eyes on your work, a little bit of bragging rights, so to speak, and you get to flex your map maker muscle on the community. The point of the Dam Challenge is really to challenge yourself as a map maker, to try things outside of your comfort zone or make maps you may not have considered. So you can really push yourself to new heights as a map maker. But it is also fun to compete against the community and be the best map maker for a couple weeks, right? Anyway, if you're interested in participating in that, you have between now and the end of day on Friday the 8th, so 11:59 p.m. in your time zone on Friday, to submit a map in the Dam Challenge channel and follow the adhered rules pinned at the top. Anyone in our community can enter. Totally optional, not a requirement, but it is quite fun, and it's a good way to, you know, test your skills, learn some new skills, and potentially win a prize. So that stream is coming up this Saturday. That would be at noon p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. Wednesday, we have a stream which is exclusive to our Discord. That one's Discord only because they are not included in our multi-stream feed because they cannot be. So every Wednesday we stream in our Discord. It's called Office Hours. Think of it if we had a physical, you know, location like a corporate headquarters where you could drop in and get a tour, meet the staff, you know, get support, you know, whatever. But this is a great way for you to tune in, you know, during the middle of the week, hang out with like-minded map makers, ask questions, and really just hang out in a chill environment. Those streams tend to be a little bit more laid back. We end up getting a little distracted talking about people's campaigns or even, you know, people's passions outside of D&D, including sci-fi. I get a little distracted and I talk about Stargate way too much. Anyway, and then obviously every Monday we have a stream called Map Maker Monday. Oh, before I move on to that, the streams on Wednesday are 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. UTC. And then Monday, every Monday, same here on the multi-stream feed, which is Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Steam. We do what's called Map Maker Monday. I build a map live for you to watch and learn and kind of follow along. The map I'm working on is a massive cemetery that I started building before this update came out. So any multi-level in it was done by hand, and it's a legacy map, so I can't add any of the new multi-level features. That's kind of a bummer, but dang, is it an amazing map. I'm going to load it up so you can take a look at it. You don't think I talk about Stargate enough? You know, we could change that. We could talk about it more. I am actually kind of rewatching it lately. So Chevron 7 is locked. Loaded. I really love having the whole Stargate collection on my home media server. Anytime I want, I can just watch it, and then I have the backups as DVDs because I bought it like years ago. I might get the Blu-rays eventually and then rip those. Anyway, this is what we're working on Mondays, and this is where I'm at right now, is this section of the cemetery. We call this area the sardine can because graves are getting packed in here like crazy tight. These ones are more like pauper graves over here. They don't really have enough money for maybe just a casket or a headstone. Whereas over here, these ones are a little bit more proper and fancy. But I've been kind of shaping this as I go and filling it in and trying to figure out where all the graves are going to go, because I don't really have a design in mind. And like I made these little plots and that was all I had to work with. So we're going to keep filling it in and working on that. I answer questions during the stream, provide support, but also you get to watch someone with over 3,500 hours of Dungeon Alchemist build a map in real time, kind of like a course or a class where you can ask questions, learn from a master. You know what I mean? Anyway, thank you everyone for being here today. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making tool and immersion utility available on Steam. You can check out our website, dungeonalchemist.com, for more details, or find us on Steam for a description of Dungeon Alchemist, including minimum specs required to run it. We offer a free demo where you can try Dungeon Alchemist before you buy. It's available on Steam as a free download. It has a limited scope of access, so you only get access to the forest biome, a small shape map, and the tavern room type. So you can build yourself a small little map, tavern set in a forest. You can export it for print, or export a looped video, or you can export it for your virtual tabletop of choice and then use it in your games. Remember, the demo is a great way to kind of test drive Dungeon Alchemist on your system to see how well it'll run before you decide to invest in it. And yeah, aside from that, I don't really have much other details or information to share. We're kind of in the lull right after the update where the devs are taking vacations and there's not a whole lot of new information or development to actually, tease you with or share. So don't have much in that regard. Let's see here. I think I've covered everything. We're going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad and then we're going to wrap up the stream, okay? Thank you everyone for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next time I give a damn, all right? Well, thank you all for being here. And remember, this ad is Dungeon Alchemist themed. We don't run any, third-party ads here unless we had a partnership or something. But for now, it's fun, it's funny, and it's very, very topical, okay?
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta, and before—
Who do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth,
Thank you all for being
demand
here.
to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever. Find family. Kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta. Please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you on the flip side. Enjoy your week, and we'll be back with a stream on Monday, Mapmaker Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and 4 p.m. UTC? That is a multi-stream across all our major platforms. See you around. Mac out. Bye.